Hello and welcome to Predictocast, the podcast where we predict a movie storyline after watching only the first 10 minutes and knowing nothing else about it. I'm Josh, and with me as always is Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Hey, Josh. Hey, everybody.
And we're not alone today. This week on the show, we are actually joined by one of the hosts of the Flophouse podcast, one of the best bad movie podcasts around, Dan McCoy. Hey, Dan, how are you?
Hello. Am I supposed to say something about myself at this point, or what?
I think anybody who is listening to this podcast knows more about you than us. So
I am immediately derailing things by playing the part of someone who doesn't know how to operate on a podcast.
I think eventually you hit a point where you podcast enough where you actually forget how to podcast.
Yes. I think we hit it about 5 years ago.
I'm glad I've been listening from before that till now. The whole arc.
But we are here this week to discuss Lady Ice from 1973. Maybe a TV movie. We were kind of speculating on that. We weren't totally sure. Skinner and I were talking before we started recording. We're like, could this be a TV movie?
I don't know. I don't think so. I get that vibe, but I think that a lot of, we think of the 70s and American movie as like this great golden age, and that's true for a lot of the movies, but then we forget that most of them were like shot as flat as an episode of, The Rockford Files, which is a great show, but it's not there's no style employed in the shooting, really.
I just somehow when I see somebody's name, like when they're doing the credits and one of the credit characters like, and this person as their name, I know, I just in my head like, is this a TV movie? Because it would be now, but that doesn't mean the 70s were for sure like that. It just all of a sudden struck me, but there was never any like clear fade to commercials. So that's what I was kind of waiting for in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, we've inadvertently watched movies that turned out to be TV movies on here before without realizing it, until we get to a point where it does fade to black and you're like, oh, commercial's supposed to come in right here.
Oh, okay.
They're usually great and crazy though, so that helps.
Okay, I mean, I feel like at the time Sutherland would have been too big for
true.
TV. I mean, maybe not now with your golden ages of TVs and such. People show up, but back then, yeah, big movie stars didn't do it.
Yeah, Duvall's pretty big at this point, right?
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, this is between the two Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 for Robert Duvall, so that's pretty wild. And then I think this is the same year as Don't Look Now for Donald Sutherland. So like they're kind of at pretty big peaks in their careers, even though they're still fairly early. And it's cool because Donald Sutherland looks amazing in this movie.
I mean, I'm going to put my cards on the table here right off the bat. I love Donald Sutherland so much. Like, he's become such a great, like, menacing older actor, certainly, but at his peak, like, I don't know, he was part of that, like, time in the 70s where, objectively like intense and sexy maybe, but not like super good looking men were seen to be very sexy, and
I mean, I was hoping he would give off a lot of sexual energy in this movie, and he walks in, I'm like, well, this guy's always thinking about it in some way. It's just dripping off of him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he asks a guy to strip, and then, but that's just business for this man.
Yeah,
and mustache though, he's fantastic.
It's a great mustache. It's so good, and I'm like, there was a slyness to Donald Sutherland back in the day where he was like still playing more heroes than villains, but he had like that side to him, and I don't know. I was a big fan. Like, my dad was this big fan of MASH and the movie, and now there's certainly a lot in that movie that's hateful, but he and the rest of the cast are doing such great jobs in such a well cast movie, whether or not the content holds up that well. But that kicked off me liking Sutherland, and then you see him in something like The Dirty Dozen, or where he just like makes one scene make himself a star, and I don't know, Clute. I just like saying Clute.
Good sound.
Yeah, I think this was
good hard
was
sound.
like a year after that. So yeah, it's a great time for him, and I mean he looks amazing. The suit that he's wearing when he shows up for the first time is great, and
I think I had that suit as a 4-year-old. Like I was born in 78, and like I got my brother's like 1975, 76 hand-me-downs. I'm pretty sure I had the exact same outfit except for child-sized. I looked pretty good.
So let's kind of go through and set up what happens in this movie in the first 10 minutes and kind of make some predictions about where we think this thing's going to go. It opens in Miami at the international airport, and we see a guy who's seems a little nervous about what's going on, and he's very sweaty. We'll just say
he's
extremely sweaty.
Very sweaty.
And wearing a jacket that appears to be about 3 sizes too small. He's a bigger guy, but the jacket is not
Not
helping.
Like the rest of his outfit isn't, though. He just specifically picked a jacket that wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was trying to hide the crown jewel, spoilers, in my upper body, like maybe I want to distract people by wearing an ill-fitting jacket.
Yeah.
It could be a strategy.
Well, the thing too is that could be a strategy, yeah. But like, it's so ill-fitting that I'm a clothes guy. Like, I really like clothes, but I judge. I just like see a thing I like. I'm like, oh, I like that. And I'm less of a good judge, maybe of fit. But this was such that I turned to Audrey and I was like, that's a really bad fitting suit. Like,
It's really bad. Like,
Yeah.
as somebody, I'm a shorter dude, and it's hard to find clothes unless I go to like shop at the places Prince does in Minnesota, aka Kids Shop, to find something that like fits well. But like, I'm always terrified of looking this ill-fitted. Like, I'm like,
Yes.
does everyone else see me like this?
yeah.
And then I'm sure we've all been to Florida or the South at some point, and just I could viscerally feel humidity watching this man.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This man is a man who is clearly not built for the climate. He's he's coming from another place where he has not had to deal with this.
I like that his solution to that, when he finally gets comfortable, is I'm going to sit down with some room service with a lot of ketchup. That'll cool me down.
Yeah, he hops into a cab, super sweaty guy, and he gets to the Doral Hotel, which immediately my mind went to the Doral cigarette brand. And I was like, did the cigarette company have their own hotel in the 70s? And it turns out no, that's actually the name of a town in Miami-Dade County, but I just couldn't stop thinking of it as Cigarette Hotel.
Most of them were back then, honestly.
Yes. And we did the briefest bit of research and found out that Doral Hotel is somehow affiliated with our current president. So we just can't escape him even in the 1970s.
That's why they had the room service gives you such large, bottles of ketchup. I don't know why that stuck out to me so much, but like that's like the fanciest sauce 1973 had to offer. A1 sauce and ketchup sauce. I can't believe they called it ketchup sauce.
It's
Ketchup sauce.
It's your Canadian coming out.
That's the stuff that you put on top of. That's the stuff you put on top of ketchup
Yeah.
when you want it to be saucier.
A little
Like,
fancy.
add a little moisture to this.
You
Yeah.
just pour like a wetter version of ketchup on top of your thicker ketchup.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awful.
But he checks in. He doesn't want to give his ID to the guy at the desk. He clearly doesn't want anyone to know that he's there. And he goes up to his room, makes a call, and he's talking to someone on the phone. He says, make it 10 o'clock. And we think, okay, deal's going down. We find out later, in fact, he was potentially setting up a meeting with a sex worker. But it certainly sounds like he's about to make some sort of jewel deal.
I believe that was his cover. His cover was to Donald Sutherland was, I just ordered in a hooker in the very similar way of Homer saying, I was at a pornography shop buying pornography. It's also like I don't hear that word anymore, so for some reason it just hit me like, oh, that's I don't know. Just the way he said it. Just moist way of saying it.
I think that is just that guy's delivery is just very moist.
That's enough of that for our listeners.
And as the bellhop leaves with the rolling cart, he closes the door, and Donald Sutherland pops out of the bathroom. How long has he been in there? Has he been in there since the guy got there? Did the guy not go and have to relieve himself at all when he got to the hotel? Because that's like the first thing I do when I check into a hotel.
The very first thing.
It was confusing because it's like it seems like he would have to have been there from before he even got there. But then how did he know which room he was going to be in? That was the part that doesn't really add up.
I think you can always sum that up to he's that damn good. That's just the screenplay in quotations. Character is that damn good.
Okay.
Yeah, and he comes out and he has a gun on the guy. It looks like a race starter pistol. And he tells the guy, it basically asks who he was meeting, and he tells the guy to stand up and tells him to take his pants off.
This was unfair because he first told him to eat his shrimp. Think of all the starving people out there. And then he told him to stand up. How can he do
they
both?
They weren't going to get his shrimp. I don't.
His little shrimp cocktail.
That's the fallacy of that statement. Whenever people are like, don't clean your plate. There's starving people in Africa. Like, well, great, but you're not going to singe the food there if I don't eat it. You're going to throw it out. So I guess we're both hypocrites in this situation.
It's a no-win situation. They don't have food. I have to eat food I don't want. You're mad at me. Why are we having this conversation? Let's go watch television.
Exactly.
But this scene where he's telling this guy to take his pants off and then unbutton his shirt, it's very seductive. It's like he's doing this is as close as I think we'll get to a Donald Sutherland ASMR video.
It's only seductive because of his mustache.
I think anything that he says that flies through those whiskers like is ultra seductive. It's kind of wild, and because as the guy's doing it, like he's trying to put it off because he tells him to unbutton his shirt, and then he starts to do the collar, and he's like, no, the front, and the guy kind of makes he has like a look of, oh, okay, he's getting close, and that's when Donald Sutherland goes, I'm getting close, aren't I? And I'm like, oh no, what is this movie about again?
Yeah. I mean, well, the seductive tone, I feel like it's just a confidence that he has that immediately transmits the idea that whether or not this guy is literally a professional, he is very competent at what he's doing.
Now, when he clearly was going to have something hidden in the front of his shirt, I know it's called Lady Eyes. I should have realized it was probably diamonds and not some sort of drugs, but I just wasn't expecting a diamond tiara to be in there.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I thought there'd be like one big, like Uncle Scrooge style diamond, like one.
Yes.
Like this is like Lady Ice.
Like a necklace or something with a big diamond on it.
But it's like weird costume jewelry.
Where would you get that in America?
Well, I don't know. We don't know yet. That could be a big part of this thing. He's coming into Miami, so maybe he's coming from like Cuba, or he could be flying from somewhere in Europe.
Princess of Cuba.
Yeah.
Famed
those great Cuban diamonds.
Cuba.
Maybe he's like one of those like cruise ship princesses. I don't know.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad about the missile crisis because it kept us from getting those great Cuban diamonds. They put that embargo on Cuban diamonds.
Everybody knows that Fidel Castro was a diamond magnate.
He hides them in his beard.
And he pulls the necklace off the guy, and guy starts crying, and he's like, if they catch you with that ice, then I'm dead. And he's really He's really upset. They do say ice a lot in these first 10 minutes. And then Donald Sutherland takes him, and I don't think we even know his character's name yet. I don't think that he says it at all in these first 10 minutes. We'll just choose to believe that it is actor Donald Sutherland who is doing this.
That's why he can play a professional hitman or whatever he is here, and a mechanic, because he has a versatile ability to act as anyone.
Yeah.
And he takes the guy into the bathroom and he handcuffs him to the toilet, which is a great indignity, I think.
Yeah,
this is the character where they've given like literal zero dignity, and then they handcuffed him to the toilet, and I'm like, wow, they're just like shoveling dirt on this guy.
Do you think it's? I mean, I guess a lot of people have handcuffs, but do you think it's significant that he has handcuffs? Like, I mean, because they didn't look like fake handcuffs or cheap handcuffs. They look like full-fledged
professional
cuffs. Yeah.
Maybe he's like, I don't know. He's spoiler in a second. He's a mechanic, but maybe he's undercover as a mechanic. Well, I don't know why you do that.
It was a big twist for me when he shows up as a mechanic. I'm like, what? Which one is he?
It's literally like a second late. I wish this is a real prediction for this fucking predicting podcast, but I wish they were twins.
Oh, that's what I was hoping.
Oh, that's great.
There's nothing better than a 70s twins movie.
I'll hold out hope for that, because we get a shot of a lady driving up to Booth Auto Repair, and she drops her car off for some maintenance work, and he's kind of smirking at her.
Blocks off that entrance. Like, other car comes in and has to turn around.
That's right.
I hope that wasn't intentional.
This goes to show how not driving for over a decade in New York City has just blinded me to things like that. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. She's driving fine.
I just watched another car come in and then stop and then realize she's not going anywhere. Turn back. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. Just my dealing with Midwest traffic. I'm like, that tracks for most people, I guess. Not even honking.
And he kind of has a little bit of he smirks at her a little bit and whispers, once again, more ASMR, "Screw you." And somehow she must have super hearing, because she's across the block and she turns around and is like, "You'd like to, wouldn't you?"
I mean, it really seems like his negging of her is working, though. She seems
within seconds.
Immediately.
Yeah. Intrigued by this guy for being a dick to her.
This mechanic.
Yeah. This cigar chomping mechanic.
Yeah. I hope if he's an undercover something that much like how the hell did he get in that bathroom? I'm gonna become a mechanic to be undercover, so when she comes, I'll get her car or whatever. But having to know she would pick that place and that time, I just want that level of competence. So he's basically predicting the future every 3 days.
I think that based on those first 10 minutes and kind of where we leave it, I think that this is my big prediction for the movie, is that she's his next mark. So maybe he is he kind of does the diamond thieving on the side, I guess, when he's not being a mechanic. And
that is so odd.
And she or he is pretending to be a mechanic in order to get close to her, because she is the next mark. And I think maybe her husband will be Robert Duvall, who is in this movie, and maybe he's he tries to seduce her to get at a diamond that she has or Robert Duvall has. I don't know. That's where I'm sort of leaning.
Him Lord Ice if she's Lady Ice?
Yes.
I mean, I feel oh God, is it even worth making a prediction? That seems so plausible at this point. Yeah. Mine were a lot more convoluted. So
go for it. Tell us. You might be right.
I mean, this is a program where we're never right. So if you're even half right, you've passed us after 200 episodes.
I thought that maybe that this guy, this sweaty guy, was coming from like New York or someplace on behalf, like he had stolen from the mob or something, let's say, and he was meeting someone to fence this item. And somehow Donald Sutherland has, semi-professional crook, has come into this information. So he robs the robber knowing that he'll take the fall or whatever. But then this lady, I'm not sure, maybe like she finds out and they're forced to, like she's kind of intrigued by it and they become partners and evade like mobsters or she steals it from him, creating something for him. I don't know. This is see, it's so much more convoluted than your elegant solution.
No, those are all plausible. Those are all plausible.
Yeah.
I like that idea of her being like a partner or something, like finding out about his jewel heists and stuff, and she like wants to be involved because maybe she is like it could combine the two. Like maybe she is married to Robert Duvall, but he's boring or something, and she's intrigued by this weird mechanic who steals jewels on the side and like wants to do what he does to get some excitement in her life or something like that. And then they get embroiled in this big Cuban diamond crisis.
Yeah, I think I might be partially in my mind ripping off the plot from. Have you guys seen the movie Silent Partner with Elliot Gould?
No, I don't think so.
It's got Elliot Gould, and I think it's Christopher Plummer is the bad guy.
Oh, good.
And I believe it was a Canadian production. It was written by Curtis Hanson, who
wow.
wrote like and directed LA Confidential and stuff. Like it was very early in his career. And I won't give too much away, but there is like an element of this smart guy figures out about a criminal's plan, like rips off the money, and then someone that he works with kind of becomes part of it because she's smart enough to figure out what's going on and she's sort of intrigued. So maybe I'm just remembering the Silent Partner in my head, but that's a great small thriller if you like that kind of thing. It's got Elliot Gould, so it's very much of the same kind of lead actor.
I can imagine these two movies kind of having a similar tact and similar leads. I don't know, like Josh's idea, the fact that he's like Donald Sutherland possibly could be like a mechanic / gentleman thief / going around cuckolding rich guys, like that's a lot for one guy. I mean, but here's the thing: I can see Donald Sutherland doing that, not like this character,
yes.
but the actor himself.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But God, all I want, you guys had great predictions for the movie, very plausible. I want the very last scene of this movie to be: we go back to the hotel, we go up the stairs, down the hallway, into the room, and we see a very skinny guy still handcuffed to the toilet, reaching for a bottle of ketchup.
I do hope that's how it ends. I mean, I would love that if we just forgot about that guy till the end of the movie.
I don't think we're going to find out his fate.
That's a great ending. They get through. They get through this whole plot. Donald Sutherland ends up with the girl. They go off. They decide to go to the Doral Hotel to have a nice getaway, and they go into the room, and she goes to the bathroom and screams because there's a guy handcuffed to the toilet.
He's like, I ate all the toilet paper, and then we just do end movie.
And then you learn that there had been some reshoots on this movie by Mel Brooks.
Just punched it up.
Yeah, he's like, no, you got to leave him with a big laugh.
That sounds amazing. I do want there to be twins. I would love it if this was somehow a secret twin movie, like two Donald Sutherlands.
Can you make a twin movie and not reference it in the title at all? Is that like something that's legal in Hollywood? I mean, you have a main actor, Donald Sutherland, something his power, and you've cast him as 2 roles, but you call the movie Lady Ice. You're not even referencing him.
Now, there is one major exception to that rule, of course, and it's called The Parent Trap.
That's true.
Which does not indicate
point.
anything about twins in the title.
Instead, it sounds like people trying to torture parents.
But yes, I believe that if Donald Sutherland himself, big Hollywood star at the time, Donald Sutherland was in a movie as twins, it probably would have been in the title.
We don't want to give it away because, how the trailers give everything away these days. Maybe back in the setting, they were like, let's hold on to that as like a little treat for everybody, and we won't even make it obvious they're separate characters until they walk into a room at some point and look at each other and go and point and say, "You look just like."
Oh, they're surprised by it.
And then they do the whole year again for 10 straight minutes.
Or what it could show up really late in the movie as sort of the Prestige.
Oh, there we go. Oh, maybe one of them's time traveling. That's always fun.
Yeah, I mean,
sci-fi. Lady Ice is from the future. She's some kind of alien.
I'm excited. I am looking forward to this. It's been a while since we've done a movie that I have a feeling could be good, or at least like fun. Because
we've watched too many dog movies. That's the problem.
We've watched a lot of stuff where you never know about the quality going in, but like just from the fact that it's from this fun era of filmmaking, it's got a young Donald Sutherland, it's got a young Robert Duvall. Like these are people who are good actors, like who are like known quantities, and like we can point to other things that they've done which are really good. So like I feel like there's a chance that this could at least be like really entertaining in a way that a lot of our movies aren't. I'm glad that this is what we're talking about this week. But I think that's probably a good place to wrap up this first part here so we can get into the rest of the movie. We will be back on Thursday to talk about the rest of Lady Ice, to see if there are twins in this, to see if a guy remains handcuffed to a toilet seat for the entire movie. But Dan, do you have anything you'd like to promote on this episode? You'll be back with us on Thursday, but I figure you might as well promote for now in case people only listen to this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the people who only listen to the first part of this 2-part premise podcast.
Which statistically we found out not many do that. we know for a fact.
But if you forget in between, go listen to the podcast I do with 2 other guys called The Flophouse. We've been around for a while. We were a bad movie podcast before. That was a cliche, and now I always feel like I have to apologize for the premise of the show when plugging it to new listeners.
When I'm plugging this show, I always try to go out way like, we're not intentionally watching bad movies. I actually hope they're good.
Yeah,
and then people pay us to watch bad movies, so it's like, God damn it.
I mean, Skinner and I think are friends because of the Flophouse and the subsequent online communities that sprung up around it, and like that's sort of how we met originally. So, Flophouse is an amazing show. If you haven't listened to it, what are you doing? It's great. It's amazing. So go listen to that, and then come back here on Thursday when we talk about the rest of Lady Ice. But until then, I've been Josh.
I've been Skinner.
I've been Dan.
There we go. That's always awkward. Don't worry.
And we predict you'll join us. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at PredictoCast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. To get monthly bonus content, sign up at patreon.com/predictocast. As always, thanks for listening.